A massive and slightly mouldy update, part 2, tapes part 1. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. Okay, welcome back. So now we're going to move on to the tapes. Now, and this is the reason why this video is taking so long to make. Basically, I'll just tell you what happened. You can skip all this stuff if you're not interested in hearing. But basically, back in April, like near the beginning of April, I was helping my granddad clean out his garage. And in there I found a load of VHS tapes. There were ones which, were in his collection, which he put in there, oh, God knows, like 10 years ago or something, when he upgraded to DVD, when he was buying DVDs and stuff. And he basically had no use for them, so he stored them in the garage. And basically when I found them, he let me keep the lot. Unfortunately, they'd pretty much all gone mouldy, which that's why you must never store your tapes in the loft, the garage, the shed, anywhere with high humidity. Fortunately, most of them, if not all of them, were very mild. They only had like a small spot here, small spot there, most of them. Some of them were a bit heavy, but none of them like a reel which was white, which I've seen a lot of other people deal with. So basically, I spent like the good majority of about 2 months or so basically cleaning them, to get all the mould off. Basically, the method I use is basically similar to one which was found on the Lunchmeat VHS blog, which a lot of people tend to use, and in my opinion, it's probably one of the best things you can do when it comes to cleaning mouldy tapes, especially if they're mild or moderate. It's probably better than playing the tape, winding it, fast forward it in a gash video recorder and then cleaning out the machine later, and it's a lot cheaper than using an RTI tape check. Basically, the reason why you wouldn't want to play a mouldy tape is because, first off, the mould will come off the tape and it'll clog the heads, so that's a bad sign. And also, if you pop another tape in there, there was the risk that if the mould is still active, it could contaminate the tape and ruin that tape as well. But yeah, I've cleaned these as best as I can. Some of them I probably won't trust in a VCR, but some of them I'm perfectly happy to run through my good machine. Some people say you should always use a spare machine just to play the tapes that have been cleaned. I don't do that because I'm an idiot, and the simple fact is mould spores exist all over the place. You can't see them. They only become a problem if you give them food, moisture, then they'll grow. If you don't let them grow, then it shouldn't be a problem. Sadly, not all the tapes could be salvaged. Some of them, and it wasn't due to heavy mould, it was due to other factors like where the tape was wound to, tape damage, the fact that I couldn't get the VCR to wind and fast forward. So I'll show you a few photos of the ones which had to go in the bin. These are pretty much all the ones which I've salvaged. Some of them are in slightly rough condition, because some of them might have had heavy mould. Not particularly heavy, but what I'd view as heavy mould. But the first tape we have is RoboCop. This is on Virgin Video. Part man, part machine, or cop. Special retail price $9.99. This tape had some quite nasty mould. In fact, this is probably the worst tape I encountered for it. Here's the tape. As you can see, I don't think you can see it on camera, but the mould has left a few stains on the top edge. Usually that happens sometimes if the mould's quite heavy. I usually just find soaking the top into my PA and then giving it another clean, you know, through the machine, is using the lunch meat method, basically does the trick. Sometimes it can mean some of the mould has got into the tape itself, which, you know, obviously would need manual cleaning to get that mould off. But I don't think I'll bother doing all that stuff with this tape. But what I'm doing with this one is I'm not going to actually watch it, I don't want to risk it, but I'm going to keep it just for the artwork, you know, and have it on display. But yeah, here's the tape. In case you're wondering why the bottom is slightly different, it's because I had to replace the bottom of the cassette because I had some repair work on another tape. Comes in a virgin box. Next one is Beverly Hills Cop on CIC video. This is from 1987, this tape. Really nice condition copy. Now, you probably are familiar with, you know, this type of design. This is the CIC stripy design, which they used on the HMV VHS collection. I've got an example of one of the HMV VHS Blu Rays right here, American Wealth in London, which on the sell-through this wasn't actually released by CIC. I believe it's a polygram film, and the sell-through was put out by Channel 5, so you know, it's a bit odd, you know, to have this tape with, well, it's a Blu Ray, but have it with this stripy design. But inside here you just get a Blu Ray and stuff, and Blu Ray, DVD, and some art cards and stuff. In here it's slightly less exciting. You just get the tape. I packed all the tapes with pretty much all the tapes with silica gel. It probably won't do much, and also my house isn't really the right environment for mould to grow. So as a result, you know, it's probably not gonna. So as a result, you know, it's not gonna make a difference, you know, either way. But you know, it keeps me safe. Here's the tape. Comes on BASF stock. The date screen at the start said it was printed on the 6th of November 1987. And it has a Screen Legends sticker on the top for some reason. I don't know why, because Screen Legends was actually a video label set up by Pickwick Video, I think, who I believe were eventually renamed to Colton after Colton bought out the company. And I believe they're now referred to as ITV Studios. I have another tape which is a Screen Legends sticker. This is Wizard of Oz. This one is a tape I've had for a long time. It's one that hasn't gone mouldy, thankfully. But yeah, that has a Screen Legends sticker in slightly better condition. This one's quite rough. This one's in a lot nicer shape. Next one is Beverly Hills Cop 2. I've never seen Beverly Hills Cop 2. I've seen the first one. I've got that on DVD as part of a cheap Eddie Murphy set. But eventually I might get the trilogy on Blu Ray at some point. But yeah, this tape had some quite nasty mould on it. I've managed to get it all off, and it's in a state, you know, where I'm happy to run it for a VCR, but I'm still not convinced of playback quality. But you know, I don't know. I mean, I've tested it and it seems to play back okay. A few dropouts here and there, but that's fine. You know, I can happily watch the film like this. Here's the tape. No print date. Probably has a date screen at the end, but I don't know. I've not checked it. And inside we have adverts from other Eddie Murphy films. This tape is from, I think, either 1988 or 1989. I'm not sure because CIC never gave the dates on the boxes and stuff. The reason why I know Beverly Hills Cop is from 87 is because it said 87 at the start of the video. But yeah. So 48 hours. That's the a slightly cut down version. There was a version on VHS. The first VHS release of that film was very heavily cut down for some reason to get a 15 rating. The later VHSs and of course the DVD and Blu Ray are uncut. Best Defence. I've heard of that film. I believe it was a Dudley Moore film that was filmed years prior, and they for some reason like later on re-edited the film and just to shoehorn in Eddie Murphy and claim it's an Eddie Murphy and Dudley Moore vehicle, and yet you know, I don't even think Dudley Moore and Eddie Murphy ever met. But yeah, there's the tape. Next one we have is A Doctor in Distress on the video collection. I'm not overly familiar with the Doctor films. There's about 7, I think. I've heard they're all not particularly good. Sort of like the Carry On series, kind of. I've seen this. It's good. It's a good fun film. Maybe if I watched the other ones, I might be a bit more harsh on it, but you never know. But yeah, this is from 1987. The film's from 1963, and the tape's from 1987. And inside the adverts for the other Doctor films. This uses the same design motif as the Carry On series, the Carry On videos from this era, and in fact, the start of the video actually has an advert for other Carry On films. Yep, and here's the tape. Doctor in Distress. No print date. Comes in a video collection embossed case, which I think this is an early one because I've got a few video collection titles, and usually the video collection logo is usually smaller. So that kind of suggests to me this is an old release. Early release. The tape plays pretty much perfectly. It's really nice shape and didn't show any signs of mould, so that's good. So next up we have The Bone Collector with Denzel Washington and Angelina Jolie on Columbia TriStar. This tape's from 2002. I've seen this. It's an okay sort of thriller, sort of something like 7, but I prefer this to 7. Controversially, I just don't like 7. It's an alright thriller. I'm not the biggest fan of it, but it's okay. Don't regret watching it. Here's the tape. This tape had some quite bad mould, and it did leave a stain initially, but I've cleaned that stain off, and I manually went through the tape, and it plays pretty much perfectly. So, you know. Next up, we've got Enemy at the Gates with Jude Law, Joseph Fiennes, Richard Welts, the late great Bob Hoskins, and Ed Harris. 5 stars according to Uncut. This is from Pathé, released in 2001, I think. Yeah, 2001. I've heard it's a pretty good film, pretty sort of solid sort of wartime thriller. I'm not big into me war films. The Grandad's more into his war films than I am, but you know, I do enjoy a good war film. If I had to choice between either a war film or a western, I'd probably go for a war film. Here's the tape. This actually includes extras. This actually has a find out about the making of Enemy at the Gates in through the Crosshairs documentary. That's a nice addition. Next one we have is I'm doing these tapes a bit out of order because I've got a few bags and stuff. So there's some tapes where you know they're part of a set or something, and the other tapes like miles away. And this is an example. Monty Python's and now for something completely different. This is on Cinema Club, released in 1996. I've not played this tape yet. Some of these tapes I've not played yet, so I don't know if they play okay or what the trailers are like. I've cleaned them, obviously. I've cleaned them all, even the ones which showed no signs of mould. I still cleaned them just in case. But yeah, inside here we have the tape. And label, which obviously is very good because part of the cleaning process is you have to take the cassette apart to clean out, you know, the spools and the rollers and stuff, you know, because you know there could be mould living on them as well. I found with some of my tapes, they generally have mould living in the cassette, but not on the tape itself. But inside we have it for other British comedy films, including the Doctor series and a few films based on sitcoms. It's alright and have something completely different. It's basically like a movie which consists of a series of sketches from Monty Python and Flying Circus. I preferred it's decent, but I prefer Holy Grail and Life of Brian. But yeah, next one is Hey Abbott. This is released on the Mastervision label. This tape's from 1988. This is I've ripped this and put it on the Internet Archive so you can watch it there. I'm not going to rip all these on the account that some of them have got copy protection. Also, a lot of them are like proper films and stuff. So, you know, it's a bit cheeky, you know. But yeah, this is a made-for-TV special from the late 70s, hosted by Milton Berle. I wasn't the biggest fan of it. I think it's just their type of Abbott and Costello's type of humour doesn't really appeal to me, but you know, you never know. Maybe I'll watch it again. I've digitised it so I don't have to keep playing the tape. You know, I've digitised a few of these because I don't want to keep playing the tape and wearing the tape out. Side here we have the tape. 1988 Intervision. Which is this the same Intervision who were putting out pre-cert videos in the 80s? I'm not sure. This tape actually has a print date on it of the 12th of December 1988. It actually has a date screen at the end of the 14th of December 1988. So, you know, that's a bit bizarre. Price cut was £3.99, now £2.99 from wherever. Woolworths, I'm guessing, or WH Smiths, I'm not sure. Oh, and also I forgot to show on Beverly Hills Cop, there's no print date, but for some reason there's a sticker. You can't see it properly right there. There's a sticker on the inside of the tape lid, and I've got absolutely no idea why. It doesn't really affect playback because once it's inserted into a VCR, you know, the lid's moved out of the way anyway. So that's no big deal. And also on Beverly Hills Cop 2, it's got, you can't see it properly on camera, but it's got printing on the top and also on the bottom. I think the bottom's been slightly rubbed away because I've used IPA, because I used IPA to clean, as well as the tape itself and the inside of the case. I also used it to clean out the outside of the cassettes and also the sleeves and the boxes as well. Wouldn't hurt, you know, just to make sure no balls are living in the tape. Next up we have a few carry-ons, and there's a couple of more carry-ons sort of slightly later on in this update. But the first one is Carry On Regardless. This is on Warner. This is one of the earlier sort of ones. I believe Carry On Sergeant through Carry On Screaming were put out by Anglo Amalgamated, and Don't Lose Your Head through Emmanuel were put out by the Rank Organisation. This is one of the Anglo ones, released by Warner and Weintraub Entertainment Group. Yeah. Distributed by Hollywood Nights. I've actually got a Hollywood Nights tape in here, which I'll show you a bit later. This tape is from 1988. Inside here we have the box, Warner embossed case, and tape with the massive tape reels, which I never really saw the point, because I've got some tapes which, you know, have got a lot of tape on them. You know, I think the most you could probably fit on a tape with big reels is about 90 minutes. But I've got a few which, you know, are about 90 minutes which have big reels. I don't know why. Carry On Cabby. This is a great one, in my opinion, a very good one. Slightly, I don't know if I'd call it progressive, but it sort of was quite progressive at the time, which is quite daring for a series which is notoriously dated, you know, notoriously politically incorrect. But yeah, this is a decent one, Carry On Cabby. Again, distributed by Hollywood Nights. This tape's also from 1988. Here's the tape. Comes in the wine trail embossed case. Next up we have Carry On Cleo, one of my absolute favourite ones. I love this one. Infamy, infamy, they've all got it in for me. Yeah. Again, this tape's from 1988, but I think this is a much later pressing because it has a clear case as opposed to a black case, and it has this grey sort of Ryan Traub Entertainment Group logo as opposed to the black and gold one, which you saw on the previous ones. There's John Pertwee right there. I think that's John Pertwee, yeah. I do remember John Pertwee being in this one. Yeah. Distributed by Brave World, and as opposed to Hollywood Nights. Here's the tape. No print date as far as I can tell. Next up we've got Blackadder Series 2, full episodes, and all 6 episodes of the series. One of the best sitcoms ever made, in my opinion. I think I prefer Blackadder over Mr. Bean. When I was younger, I used to really love Mr. Bean. I've kind of gone a bit off him. But yeah, I really like Blackadder. This is Series 2, which is, in my opinion, the best series of Blackadder. A lot of people say Series 4. Series 4 is great, but I'm more into Series 2. For some reason, there was no Series 1 or Series 3 in the garage. There was only Series 2 and 4. But yeah. Here's the tape. This tape had a bit of damage at the start because I think the mould had eaten a bit of the oxide. Basically, that's what can happen. You get a few slight mild bald patches on the top and bottom edges. So it probably will have some mild playback issues like near the start of the tape, but it's not really going to affect any program material. And besides, I've got the series on DVD, so it's probably no biggie. This tape is from 1995. But this tape is actually a reprint from the 9th of June 1998. Inside we have it's from BBC comedy videos. And we also have Blackadder Goes Forth. I think I preferred Series 2, but you know, it's still great. This is the one which was based during the First World War, and as one of my favourite endings. Well, I probably would have preferred the ending of Series 2 overall, but yeah. This is from 1995. There's quite a few variants of this. There's some which come on double cassettes, and this one is one that comes on a single cassette. I don't know if it's recorded in like long play or anything, or stand play, or use a lot of tape. But anyway, here's the tape. The print date is the 7th of November 1999, and inside we have other BBC sort of comedy stuff. Littles and Horses with the Peckham Spring Water, which I'm wondering how many of those bottles still exist and have been opened. I'm just wondering who the hell would open their, when they buy the video, who the hell would open their Peckham Spring Water? And also the Are You Being Surf set with Mrs. Slocum's Pussy. I believe that's actually a prototype version, because the one which was actually released came with a purple pussy, and I thought Blue Waffle was bad. Sorry. But yeah. And we also have Blackadder's Christmas Carol. I absolutely adore Blackadder's Christmas Carol. It's so funny. Really great sort of subversion of the Christmas Carol story. Because I think most people generally know Christmas Carol's about an old miser who basically, like, these ghosts basically turn him into a good guy. In this, it's the opposite. He's a good guy at the start, and then the ghosts inadvertently turn him into a bastard. But yeah, it's just so funny. I really love it. But yeah, this tape is from 1991. One of the first tapes to include the striped BBC logo, replacing the Globe logo at the start. The tape's in slightly rough condition playback wise, but I've got all the mould off, and it had a bit of mould, but I managed to clean that off. Inside we have adverts for the BBC comedy videos. And here's the tape. No print date, but it said at the start November 1991. Right, so the next tape we have is Silence of the Lambs with Jodie Foster, Anthony Hopkins and Scott Glenn. This is the special edition put out by MGM. This tape is from 2001. Great film, this. Great thriller. Buffalo Bill is, such a scary villain. Arguably, it hasn't aged particularly well, especially since, you could make the argument that the film is transphobic. Yes, I can see that, definitely, but it's still a great thriller, all things considered. Yeah, this came from HMV back in 2001 or 2 or whatever. This cost $5.99, 2 for £10 deal. But yeah, which they sort of did for DVDs for a while. I don't know if they're still doing that deal. But special features, we have the theatrical teaser trailer, the original theatrical trailer, TV spots, original featurette and Hannibal trailer. I believe most of those extras, if not all of them, are already on the Blu Ray, which I have. Have this one on Blu Ray. But, I probably will keep hold of the tape because, I just like it and it's a great film. Anyway, here's the tape. No print tape, comes on E31 tape stock. The tape's in really nice condition, and it had very little, if any, mould on it. Can't even remember if it had any mould on it. If it was very, very small. It was dead easy to get off. Next up we have The Others with Nicole Kidman. This is released by Dimension Home Video in 2002, I think. So Dimension, Buena Vista. This is a great film. It's a great sort of haunted house movie. One of the better sort of horror films from the 2000s. Yeah, I think the only thing I didn't like about it was the kids. The kids did get on my wick a bit. But other than that, it's still a great film. Here's the tape. The tape has some mild playback issues, like there's a lot more visible dropouts, but it's still good. It still holds up, and there wasn't really that much mould on it. When I found, I think most of the mould was on the, the flange, right there on the reel. It wasn't actually touching the tape, or there was very little of it touching the tape. And this tape has a print date on it of the 19th of March 2003. So that was only about 4 days before my 3rd birthday. So yeah, it's quite interesting. Okay. Next one is 12 Monkeys with Bruce Willis, Madeline Stone, Brad Pitt. A Terry Gilliam film, The Future is History. Released by Forefront Video. in 1999. It's a very good film, directed by Terry Gilliam. I've seen a few Terry Gilliam films. My favourite's probably, outside of the Monty Python films, my favourite is probably Brazil. And I've seen Time Bandits as well, which is good fun but not great. This one's very good. This one's a very good film. This definitely an interesting watch. Is the tape. The tape was actually pretty much spotless when I found it. It was spotless actually when I found it. You know, there was no mould anywhere on it, and it plays back perfectly. So, you know, I've got no complaints. I still cleaned it anyway, just in case. But you know. Next one we have is Bob Monkhouse exposes himself. A comic genius at work bloody great, according to Gary Bushell. The master of stand-up as TV's never seen him. Yeah, this is released by VVL. I'm not familiar with... I know who Bob Monkhouse is. He's quite a well-known comedian, but I'm not familiar with his type of humour. So maybe I'll watch this. I'm not sure. Yeah, this tape is from 1994. Here's the tape. No print date as far as I can tell. No, it's not a print date. Next up we have a few early Cinema Club titles. There were quite a few Cinema Club titles in the garage. But these are a few which are from 1989. The first one we have is The Wicked Lady, with Faye Dunaway, Alan Bates and John Gielgud. Directed by Michael Winner. Your one-stop shop for quality. In case you're unaware, I'm being completely sarcastic. But yeah, I've seen this film. I actually digitised it and I posted a screening of it, and it's a bit crap, if I'm brutally honest with you. It's a very substandard sort of costume drama, and it being a Michael Winner film, it has an abundance of unnecessary nudity, like a lot of unnecessary nudity. If you took all the nudity out, it's probably be a PG or something. But I guess anything's getting 18 rating somehow. You can tell it's quality when the only quotes on the back are from Films Magazine and the Daily Mail, so that's kind of your one-stop shop for quality. It's a Canon film. This tape is from 1989. I've never seen the original. The original version of The Wicked Lady came out in the 1940s, I think. I've heard it's very good. This is from 1980. This film's from 1983. Here's the tape. Comes with a yellow cassette. For some reason, yellow, the colour of piss. Yeah. I've seen a few early Cinema Clubs that come in different coloured cassettes. I've seen ones which come in. I think I've seen a couple of copies of Escape to Victory in green and red and a few other colours. Yeah, this had a sticker on it, but I don't know what happened to it. Maybe it fell off or something. Maybe it's in the box somewhere. No, there's no sticker in there. But yeah, you can tell when it's an early Cinema Club because the label is just white. Cinema Club was set up by the Video Collection, who eventually became known as VCI for releasing budget films. You can tell it's early Cinema Club if the label is white, just like this. Later ones would use the standard Video Collection label, and then they would move on to doing their own custom Cinema Club labels. This has a trailer on it for what the film's called? The Running Man and Monster Squad. And the tape was pretty much clean when I found it. It was virtually clean. There was barely any spores, if any. I still cleaned it, once again I still cleaned it just in case. And it plays pretty much perfectly. Oh, and I've also forgot to show you inside. We have some of the cinema club titles from the first lot. A great range of superb films at a collector's price of only £4.99. Bugsy Malone. I know somebody who's probably either turning this video off or is always thinking, "Wow, that's a great film." On the top we have just a sticker, which I don't know why it's there. Peel off. No, thank you. That's a collector's piece. In case you're wondering, by the way, why the reels are a bit loose, it's because I took the reel locks out. Some of these, inside a cassette, there's this locking mechanism, which basically what happens is when you put it in the machine, the pin basically goes through the tape and allows the the machine to pull the tape out and load it and stuff, and allows the wheels to move. Most of them normally have the reel locks made with springs, but many of them were basically a sprung bit of plastic, which over time that piece of plastic bends and basically becomes useless. So with a lot of these older ones, I took the locks out, so the reels are a bit loose, but it's okay. It still plays. And next up we have The Lady Vanishes with Elliot Gould, Sybil Shepherd, Angela Lansbury, ha ha ha, another person's been horribly murdered, ha ha ha, Arthur Lowe and Ian Carmichael. This is the 1979 remake. This is not the Alfred Hitchcock version. I'm afraid it's not great, but it's be an interesting watch if I can actually watch this on tape. This is again from 1989. Comes in a yellow cassette again, a bit like The Wicked Lady though. In a weird twist of fate, the Wicked Lady tape was pretty much perfect when I found it. This tape was probably one of the worst ones I encountered for mould. It was quite nasty. I've got it all off, and I've cleaned it quite a few times. I manually cleaned it using the machine a few times, and ground the top into my IPA. So at least I know it's now a safe to run for a machine, but it still has some playback problems. There's still quite a few dropouts, when you attempt to watch it. But I figured out if you fast forward a bit into the film, it becomes watchable. But I probably don't know if I'd ever watch this on VHS. And besides, the VHS is pan and scanned to 4x3, so it's probably easier just to watch it on YouTube or something, because the DVD is quite expensive. And inside we have the same advert for the cinema club titles as The Wicked Lady. Okay, so the next tape is Cujo. This is from 1989, another early cinema club. It's a pretty good sort of horror film, sort of adapted from a Stephen King book. It kind of does that thing I don't like in horror films or indeed in any films, where some of the characters make dumb decisions, that could get them killed. That cliche does annoy the piss out of me quite a bit, but it's still a pretty good film. I'm not a big fan of the printing on the back though, because look, it's black on very dark background, so it's hard to make out text. But yeah. Here's the tape. For some reason it doesn't have a cinema club advert inside. The first sort of bit of the tape is a bit damaged, but it does become perfectly watchable once you get into the film itself, and even into the trailers it's pretty much fine. So I'm happy with that. But yeah, this one comes with the tan lid. Yeah. This is the same trailers as the ones on the Wicked Lady tape, so the Monster Squad and Running Man trailers. The Lady Vanishes tape doesn't have any trailers at the start, it just says the video collection logo and stuff, you know, before film starts. Next one is the last of the early cinema clubs is 55 Days at Peking with Charlton Heston, Eva Gardner and David Niven. Yeah, I don't really know much about this film. It's one of those sort of epics which normally don't tend to appeal to me, but I might give it a go at some point. Quite a long film. It's about where's it saying? Nearly 2.5 hours. It says right there has a copyright date on there of August 31st, 1978, which is the film copyright, which is a bit bizarre, you know, the fact that they put the actual date on there, and also it's incorrect because the film came out in the 50s. The tape is from 1989 again. Here's the tape. Anytime we have the same advert for other cinema club titles and the same sticker as the Wicked Lady tape. This tape had to have some additional TLC. I mean, the tape itself was pretty clean, but I had to do the clean for a couple of times because I was still getting like gunk and stuff off the tape on my cleaning tool. So it's completely clean now, and as far as I can tell, it plays okay. These aren't the original tape reels. Here's an example. This is the old take-up reel, and as you can see, which I'll see if I can find a decent angle, you know, to show it. Around there, that's decent. You can't really see that on camera, but the reel is ever so slightly bent in, and it's bent in quite a bit. So when I was attempting to, you know, rewind and fast forward it, the VCR, the cleaning gun was absolutely struggling with it. It almost ate the tape a couple of times, but I managed to stop it, you know, before it did. And there's no like tape damage or anything. But kind of got to the point where so I changed the tape reels over with these new ones, which I think look quite cool. Because in that garage I also found a lot of blank cassettes which were still in shrink wrap, so I was able to use some of them as spares and repairs. But yeah, I used these reels originally came from a TDK cassette. The only thing I kept was the original reel locks, because on the TDK cassettes these reel locks were grey, but they're the same, but the ones on the actual cassette were red. But I decided to keep the red ones because I think they look nice, and you know, they historically look the most accurate. Next up we've got E.T. the Extraterrestrial, the story that touched the world, cost $9.99 back in the day. A film which, controversial, I didn't really like when I first watched it. I just couldn't get into it at all, couldn't get into its story or anything. But upon a rewatch I did grow to it. I really do like this film. It's not my favourite Spielberg film, but it's still very good. And this was released by CIC Video in, I'm going to guess, either 1988 or 1989. This is the first sell-through release. Yeah, because surprisingly, it took a very long time for E.T. to come out on video, because it came out in the cinemas in 82 and didn't come to video until 88, by which point, you know, a lot of people already pirate copies were already circulating, because I believe Steven Spielberg wanted it sort of like a Disney film where every couple of years he'd re-release it in cinemas. But yeah. This is the first sell-through release, I think. Here's the tape. This is one of the first tapes I discovered, and one of the first ones where I discovered the tapes were mouldy, but I've cleaned it, and it was one of the first ones I cleaned it, and it plays decently, so you know, that's good enough for me. It comes in a CIC embossed case, and also something quite cool which you can't see, but there's a little like sticky stuff, you know, on the CIC label to show that it's genuine. I believe the US copies had a green lid and green reels. And the rental release of this had basically this massive Amblin Entertainment sticker covering the supply window. This tape was a bit cheaper because it's just a normal tape, but you know. Next up we have Hollow Man. Think You're Alone, Think Again. This is a Paul Verhoeven film, and basically saw like a sort of modernish version of The Invisible Man. It's just look at that CGI, you know. Gotta love that laughably shit CGI, you know, and the fact they put it on the back cover as well, you know, promoting just how shit their CGI is. Like even back in 2000, this probably would have been laughable. But yeah, I've seen it. It's interesting. I'm not the biggest fan of it. I can see why people hate it. I don't hate it, but it's not particularly good either. I probably would say I find it more entertaining than Starship Troopers, but I don't know. It didn't really have the satire that Starship Troopers did. Obviously, it's nowhere near as good as like RoboCop and Total Recall. The effects work in it are laughably bad. Some of the effects look okay, like there's some shots, you know, where there's like Kevin Bacon, you know, and he's invisible and he's got the latex mask on. Those bits look pretty good, but I think because I watched it on VHS, that probably hid a lot of the artifacts. But some of the CGI is laughable. And also kind of, I didn't really buy the characterisation of Kevin Bacon's character either. Like you know, before this point, I didn't buy him being rapey murderer until, you know, he became invisible. Yeah, here's the tape. And inside we have adverts for the Columbia TriStar. Now, this isn't the actual case it came with. I actually swapped the case with one of the ones which went in the bin, because the original case this came with was black, and you couldn't see the advert inside, and it wasn't, and I didn't even know it had an advert inside until, you know, I took the sleeve out to clean it. Yeah, comes with the holograms that we see over it. Next up is Carry On Christmas, an ideal Christmas gift, £5.99 suggested retail price. This is on Cinema Club. I've never seen any of the Carry On Christmas specials. There were 5, I think. I've seen all the films and I've seen Carry On Laughing, but I've never seen any of the Christmas specials. But yeah, this is on this is the 1973 special, which I think is on YouTube. Thames Video video collection. And inside we have adverts for the Carry On releases, and here's the tape. Just stick it at the bottom of it. It does sort of have a print date, because on the inside of the box, you can't really, I don't think you can see it well, but there's a little clock sort of icon in there, which was basically the date the case was manufactured. Which I forgot a few which have this clock. Some tapes with print dates, and it's kind of given me a rough approximation of how old the tape is. This one was printed in October 1991. So yeah, that's quite an interesting point. Next up, we've got Stigmata. It Will Scare the Hell Into You, with Patricia Arquette, Gabriel Byrne and Jonathan Pryce. This tape is from 2001, released by MGM. It's a decent little sort of thriller, little sort of horror film. I think it's a bit over edited in my opinion, and there's some kind of stuff that didn't quite work, but it's still a very good film, very enjoyable film. It comes with the black reels, which you can tell this is a much later pressing, because Well, it comes with the black reels, which were used from on tape from, I think, 2004 and 2005, sort of when VHS was dying off. They're usually very cheap, these cassettes with black reels. You don't really notice that until you take a tape which has black reels apart to mend it and stuff. You know, you realise just how cheap these actually are. They're very thin. I'll probably dry my thumb through this. And it has the newish, well, the recently retired 18 rating on the label, but the old one on the case. So I'm going to guess the print's from like 2004 or something. Next up, we've got Water with Michael Caine, Billy Connolly, and a few others. I did a screening of this. It's an interesting film. It's a very interesting film. It's not great. It's not particularly good, but it's definitely worth at least one viewing. You know, it's definitely a very interesting film. This was released by Warner in 1989. The film's from 85, the video's from 89. Distributed by Weintraub Entertainment Group, which is a Handmade Films production. So I think Anchor Bay owns the rights. Although I think now it's Optimum, I think, because Anchor Bay are no longer around. But yeah, this is apparently part of a collection of other videos. The only two films from this lot I've heard of are Mannequin and Clockwise. They're distributed by Parkfield. Here's the tape. There's the embossed case. This tape wasn't rewound when I found it, but the reel was spotless when I found it. So spotless, in fact, that idiot me decided to rewind it in my good VCR. Before it kind of hit me that maybe I should clean all my tapes. I've cleaned out my good VCR, by the way, so at least I know it's not going to contaminate anything and the heads aren't clogged or anything. But yeah. Oops. But yeah, I cleaned the tape as well just in case, and it's fine. It's fine. It plays perfectly, so it's not really a problem. Next up, we've got Monty Python and the Holy Grail makes Ben-Hur look like an epic. This is on CBS Fox Video from the All Time Greats collection. This tape is from 1989. One of my all-time favourite films. I absolutely love this film. It's one of the funniest ones I've ever seen. Yeah. Here's the tape. Comes with another tape that comes with big reels. I had to change the bottom of the tape because for some reason when I was attempting to clean it, my cleaning rig VCR, which is just a cheap 2-head thing which I used for cleaning tapes in, that machine was absolutely struggling to rewind and fast forward it. So what I did was I changed the bottom of the cassette, and you know, and that seemed to do the trick because it now rewinds, fast forwards, plays fine, everything. You know, it's, yeah, I'm not complaining. And inside we have the cast crew credits, and we also have also available The Long Good Friday, Time Bandits, and The Life of Brian. For some reason, nothing completely different and Holy Grail were the only Monty Python tapes in the garage. There were no other Monty Python tapes. I know Life of Brian, Meaning of Life. Next one we have is The Fugitive with Harrison Ford and Tommy Lee Jones. Price at £3.99. A murdered wife, one-armed man, an obsessed detective. The chase begins. I have this one on Blu Ray, so there's probably no reason for me to keep hold of the tape, but I just want to keep hold of it because it's a great film. Yep, I absolutely love this film. This tape is from 1994, but this is much later printing, as you can see. Sort of has the newer Warner Brothers label, and the print date is 16th of June 2000. July, sorry, 16th of July 2000. And there's nothing interesting as the case, by the way. And then the final tape for this part, because I'm going to split this off into multiple parts, because it's going to take too long to go through them all in one video. That is Being There with Peter Sellers and Shirley MacLaine. Getting there is half the fun, being there is all of it. This is released by Hollywood Nights, who I'm not sure who the hell this company is. They were related to Parkfield, I think, and I don't know whether or not they had an agreement with the video collection, because they released a lot of video collection titles. But yeah. This is an absolutely great film. One of Peter Sellers' best performances, sort of outside of, you know, his roles in Doctor Strangelove and Inspector Clouseau. Yeah, this is one of his last films, I think. This came out in 1979, and Peter Sellers died in 1980. I have this film on Blu Ray. I have the Criterion Blu Ray. Took a while for it to actually come out in the UK, because I'd heard of it from Rob Ager, and I thought, you know, I really wanted to watch this film, and I got the Blu Ray, and then it turned out that I was told that my granddad had this on tape, but didn't know what happened to it, and then when I was rooting around in the garage, I found it. I don't know if I'll actually watch the tape, but it's nice to have. I don't know when this tape came out. I'm going to guess either sometime between 1987 and 1989. It doesn't have a date screen anywhere, not even at the end. Yeah, here's the tape. It comes on Scotch tape stock, copyright program, which I think is the type of stock they use on pre-recorded titles. It has a different Hollywood Nights intro. In fact, actually, on the what I found when I digitised the intro, and you could actually hear a bit of bleed through from the CBS Fox logo. You can't really hear that when you're watching it on a TV, but you can hear it, when you digitise it. But yeah, I'll put the opening on Daily Motion if you're interested. So anyway, that's it for part 1. Tune in next time for part 2. And until next time, so long for now.